support in DDP and what that could look like for you. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Okay, thanks Zina for that. It was insightful. Just to check on what Zina has shed some light on the grants that we have. I was asking myself, do I continue or can we just allow her to proceed with the process? Though, let me start with the first place whereby, where do we get these grants? You check through our website. I shall distribute a few cards. We have cards in the papers there that we printed to take you through how you can access our cards, because people, or even the grants themselves, people keep on asking us that, how do we apply to these grants? Check on the DDP website. The last part you have to type funds, or even just checking through the DDP website funding page, you'll get our funds. They are listed as 6, but currently there are 5 that are more active, or even 4 that are active. But the first type of funding that we have, the incidents, I'll not say emergency, because our strategic plan this year is incidents response fund, not incident emergency. Please forgive us, the website still reads incident emergency fund. However, it's the incident response fund because it's our rapid response mechanism that we have. Sorry, I talk so fast. Yeah, should I proceed? And when I talk again fast, please tell me. I've seen someone say like, Christine, thank you for that. So the Incidents Response Fund, its main goal is to respond and mitigate the immediate incidences or attacks that you faced. So at this point, you must have faced an incident. You're giving us the evidence of the incident that you faced. And the incident must be digital in nature. As Zina said, the responses are holistic in nature. They're not digital in nature. I think that's the cutting difference with our grants. Again, we take a very shorter period to process the grant and make sure you also implement it in a very short period. Within 4 to 6 months, you must have completed the grant. At this point, we're not giving you the salaries. It is not a salary grant. So if you send in your application and I'm like, it was just to mitigate the impacts of the attack, that's an incident response fund. Now I go to the second one, the Sustainable Protection Fund. From the name sustainable, it's actually a sustainable grant that will give you for a longer period. And its main focus is to build the capacities of the organization to be able to mitigate future occurrences, digital threats that you might face as an organization, or even an organization that has faced quite often and recurring incidences. They can apply to this grant. It's for a long-term period, up to 1 year. We target collectives, organizations, journalists. Maybe you also need to give our thematic focus, which I'll give after the grants themselves. But just before I forget, our thematic focus at DDP is very varied. Our thematic focus is LGBTQI organizations. We target women and human rights defenders. We also target actors that make data available to the public. These are journalists, bloggers, media organizations, and the various grantees that will speak here. You'll find that they fit in those categories. And the last but not least is the environmental and indigenous activists. We also target marginal groups. At this point, I'm talking about sex workers organizations. You also target youth activists or youth human rights defenders. So it is varied in various regions and contexts. So the third grant that I'm going to talk about is the regional partnership. So these ones we give grants to organizations that support others in a specific region or context. And at this point, we are giving organizations that complement our work in those regions. Organizations that they build others' holistic security in the regional context. Actually, I have an RPF on board, and they are going to tell us their journey. So you'll find out some of the things that we fund. But just in a nutshell, the things that we fund in this is that either they want to do digital security training or even empower their regional organizations that they work with, their networks. These are the funds that we give. The last but not least, that's the funding that is active, the Community Network Fund. We give to organizations that work in a community network, and the networks are either rapid responders or helplines, or they want to build in and do maybe digital forensic analysis within the network. We give that funding for that, or they want to do a conference within the network. We give that funding for all those purposes, but not limited to that. So that's our fundings and what we give. Maybe I will not allow room for question and answer, because mostly when I've just done this presentation, I always get like 10 hands up. So please just allow us to go through the journey, get the journey of what we've funded, the people whom we've funded. Then after that, we shall give you space for more questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Don't be shy. You can applause for her. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zina. Thank you, Christine. So we are going to continue. We'll ask, please, some question to our grantees who are here, that will share with us their experience, so that we can know more about how it's going when you are a beneficiary. And after that, you will be able to ask your questions. So, Mr. Tawanda, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you will have 10 minutes to tell us about your experience. So, you were beneficiary of the Community Network Fund, right? So, how was it? With who did you work about this fund? And what was the need? What is the gaps between today and before you had the opportunity to have this fund? And also, what is the impact in your network today, in your daily organization journey? Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Come on, guys, you can clap for me, eh? Come on. Yes. So yes, we were a beneficiary of a grant with DTP, and I think it was at a point where, for those who were not here when I introduced myself, I'm representing an organization called the Digital Society of Africa, which is a network of technologists and consultants, which we're now renaming as field operatives, who are in Southern Africa. And the work that we do is similar to DDP, but we are focusing really in Southern Africa. So when we applied for the grant, the community grant, we had two objectives. The first objective was we were preparing to launch our own helpline, okay, within the region. Lessons learned from the helplines that we have currently, or that we had then. I think it was Access Now that had that helpline, which was covering the whole of Africa, and it actually doesn't work, okay, because after time we then found ourselves as DSA now executing or assisting in those incidents. So instead we then thought that we should actually have our own helpline, which will be manned by people who are in country as well. Lessons learned from the COVID time as well. You'll see that you cannot move, okay? And sometimes an incident is literally, the confiscation and return of devices, and you now need to assess the devices. You cannot send the devices out of the country. So literally, you need a resource. So through the grant, we were then able to set up our helpline, and we are proud of the helpline. It's 2 years in now, and it's always amazing to see how a regional network and helpline is beneficial, in so many ways, because we are in 6 countries, as I said, English speaking and Portuguese. So if you're in Mozambique, a ticket comes in. Reginaldo is actually there. He's actually, doing whatever he's doing in Portuguese. Okay. Some of us, we now need to be then copying and pasting just to double check, if Reginaldo is advising properly, But it's extra work that I can be excited, to be doing, If it's maybe in Zimbabwe and it is written in Debele or Shona, we've got someone who's actually responding in that language, and this couldn't been possible if we didn't receive this grant, because I think even in our own budgeting, we're failing to get those resources. Then the other thing that we actually did as well was that we had our own regional convening, for our network members. And I'm sorry for those I did not invite, okay, because I'm getting scolded each time I'm walking in the corridors. I'm sorry, Cecilia, okay. And we had to bring in several of our team, from different countries in South Africa to have open learning, and we used part of that fund as well to actually cover some of the costs, okay, because it was our first event. We did not have enough budgets, and DDP also believed in the work that we're doing. Then I think the last thing that we did was actually trainings, okay. As Zina said, there's an issue about trainings, and there can't be 2-day, 3-day, type of trainings. And as DSA, we also do the long-term accompaniment, but you'll find that sometimes the organizations don't have enough resources, to house us during those trainings. So paid venues were then used through the grant, and everything worked out fine. What am I just trying to say in a nutshell? Okay, the biggest takeaway for us as DSA is that DDP enabled us to actually create a helpline where we are now saying we are proud of, because it's the only one in Southern Africa. It is now integrated with the Defenders one, and it's now working as again through Access now. So when we are dealing with when Access now receives an incident, they push that ticket into DSA if it is from Southern Africa. If we get a ticket that is maybe from East Africa, we push that ticket to Defenders. So that integration and that synergy is happening now simply because the infrastructure was invested in by DTP. Since I've got the mic,
you still have 3 minutes left.
Annual costs needs to be covered as well. DTP then left us. Yes, they planted a seed, but the tree needs to be watered here and there. So I'm going to be applying again. Just in case if they say no, this is a public space, I'll come back to you guys and say, guys, it works, but it didn't work, the second time. Okay. So thanks for that, and thanks, DDP.
Thank you, Mr. Tawanda. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to hear from Mr. Corbett. Yes. So I will let you, as Mr. Tawanda will have 10 minutes also. You had the Sustainable Protection Fund, which is different for the Community Network Fund. And so How was it? How was it? It was supposed to protect your organization. And what was the need at the beginning? Why did you apply for that? According to the sustainability, do you think today you are more prepared to resist? Why, when you have been now a beneficiary, do you think there is a difference between the today and the before?
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I will start by thanking DDP for inviting me to this forum in Senegal. It has made me to discover a wonderful African country, men of legendary hospitality and the beauty of this community. It adds to my pride, and I thank DDP again, because as human rights defenders we need some of these movements once in a while, because it adds to the social support that we need as human rights defenders, particularly for someone like me that is coming from a background of conflict. We've been in conflict for the past 8 years, and it's always a pleasure when you move away from it, because as human rights defenders we need some of those opportunities to move away from the conflict zone. So this, to me, I think DDP has already achieved something by moving me away for this 1 week, and I can only be grateful. And just that, you know, for some of us that are working in Cameroon, in the conflict zone, the conflict in Cameroon, especially the existentialist conflict pitting the minority Anglophones and the majority Francophones, is about the first digital cyberspace conflict that's ever been fought in the world, because most of the attacks are planned online, planned in Europe, planned in America, and executed back in Cameroon. So most of the planning is done online, and only the execution is done. So those who are digital rights activists are obviously the target for the state actors and the non-state actors when you intervene in any of those domains. So that is where I come in, and that is where we had a lot of problems since the crisis in 2017, where our offices were broken into. I'm sure I first attempted applying for the incident fund, and I'm sure Christine made me to understand that I did not qualify. It looked like I was negotiating marriage with a DDP, and they said I'm not comply with the bride price. So the bride price was still a problem, and so it looked like they said, I'm only hearing from them that the response is always holistic. I'm sure at that time it was that the response was not holistic, I'm sure, because I was also talking about the fiscal aspects of protection at that time. And so come 2022, when I applied for the sustainable fund, and it looked like I negotiated the bride price well, in fact, and the marriage was consummated. And so but for the fact that since then we have not had any follow-up of well, I can also say that we've had 1 or 2 meetings online with DDP on the activities, and the fact that we're here today is also proof to the fact that there's some dialogue between the funder and the grantee, which we are very grateful.
Would you say there is a positive difference? There is something like you achieved since you are a beneficiary of this grant?
I'm still at the introduction, so you need to be timing, so that I should not talk more than I was still laying the background to how I came about asking for support from DDP, because we had that challenge in 2022 when our offices were really broken into, and our machines were carried away, and then we had data breaches, and we thought that we needed to do something very well, because we were very, very vulnerable at that time. In fact, virtually all digital rights activists in the 2 English-speaking regions are either gone underground or they have chosen to remain silent. So the few that talk are actually in danger every day. Either you are being stopped, or your offices are broken into, or you are harassed online. So we needed to be sure that we had a better ecosystem to work with, and so the grant actually made us to acquire new equipment, a new and secure website, a lot of technical equipment and training, and training that we receive also on how to use the equipment, and more importantly, some psychosocial support to train ourselves so that they live up to expectations. And since 2022, I'm sure we've been ready to, we've faced the challenge, and we have been able to stand up to the challenges of the digital attacks, and I'm sure we will move on very well. Since 2022, we've not had any major challenge, and interestingly, most of the digital rights activists rely on us and our services when they were confronted with challenges. They ask us, how do you survive? How do you continue to survive? And then we'll try to transfer some of the knowledge that we have and the experiences that we've gone through to them. And so it is thanks to the work of DDP, the support from DDP, that we have arrived at this level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Colbert. So we are happy that the marriage was consumed finally. Okay, so we are going to talk with Mrs. Ugoshi. Yes, don't worry. Who is coming from Tech Her, and who will also have 10 minutes to explain us. Her organization has been through the SPF and also the Regional Partnership Fund, right? And CNF. So what was the impact? Like, you have been like, now you are like a partner of TDP, and you have been working with TDP since a while. So how do you see this partnership? Is it really grateful for you? Is it good? I don't know if grateful is the right word, but how has it been so far? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd just like to say that I'll start with, this partnership has been instrumental, most especially for a time in my country. I'm from Nigeria. I know when we arrived, Christine was like, finally I get to see you, and we're like all smiling, right? So I'm just going to give a journey of our work with DDP. So one thing as an organization wanted to do was to understand the state of online gender-based violence in Nigeria, push forward advocacy to curb this rising menace, right? So first thing we started with was research. What is existing? What does OGBV look like in Nigeria? What are its forms? Because they're always different in different countries, different contexts, right? That was the first thing we did. Carried out research. Then after research, we said, okay, trainings. So we went across carrying out trainings, like Zina mentioned, Christine mentioned, just trainings to people should know the forms of OGBV. When you encounter them, what should you do? Right? From training, we went a step further. DDP funded us, I think the RPF to create an incident response website. The name of this website is called Quorum. To access it, www.quorumng.org. Basically, what this website is about is it receives cases of online gender-based violence. It's free. You come there, you report your case of OGBV, and then we take it up. Also on this website, we have digital security resources. So it provides that holistic view. After you're done, there are also resources and other things for just to give you more learnings about the problem that you faced. From there, we now said, okay, let's take it a step further. We ensure that we are doing OGBV workshops across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. So it's like a nationwide thing, right? Went further, let's develop a prosecutorial manual. We realized that Nigeria has none or close to non-existent laws that tackle OGBV. We can keep saying, oh, advocacy and OGBV, but when somebody comes to us, reports a case, how do we take this to court? What criminalizes this OGBV, right? So we said, okay, gathered a group of lawyers, came together, let's create a manual that just picks existing laws from the Constitution, from this act, from this code, put it in a compendium, push it forward, have conversations, policymakers, duty bearers, justice service providers, because if we intend to get access to justice for survivors, these people have to know about this law. They have to use this law in their court. Currently, that's where we are right now. But then I just want to say that one of the things, or our highlights of this whole partnership with DDP, is when we reach students. So we go to universities and train them. And a lot of them said, oh, I faced this, but I didn't know this is what it was. So that's the first step, the awareness problem. We're able to tackle the awareness problem. Oh, my friend faced this is I didn't know this is what it was. Things that people call bans, or you're cyberbullying somebody, but you didn't know that. And these things are crimes, like you can go to jail for that. Or you think it's just fun, or it's just bans, or it's just playing. So one of the things this fund was able to help us do was raise awareness and advocacy regarding OGBV. Then we're able to gain attention, right? Then our website has been so instrumental. And initially, you know how they say, you don't know what you're going to get until you start, what you're in for until you start. We didn't know what we were in for till we started. There are times where we receive a case, we think, oh, this person has a case, we get a lawyer, and we reach the police, and they ask us for 2 million naira to process this case. For context, 2 million naira is like $1,200. And this is just the first step. We're still going to pay lawyer logistics, all of those things. And bearing in mind that we have 3 other cases at the same time. There are 3 other cases at the same time. There are times where survivors lose interest. They're like, I don't trust the justice system in Nigeria. What does this do for me? I have school. I have other things on my mind. After all, he has already leaked my images. I don't care. Nothing can be done. So these are the kind of things we face. One, on the platform side. Then there's trainings. Then there's prosecutorial manual. Then community engagement. So we thought, okay, we're doing trainings here. We've given them a website. We have a prosecutorial manual. Why not go and meet these government MDAs in their offices? This is what TECHA is doing. How can all of us come together and curb this menace? We've visited the Police Service Commission in Nigeria. We've had courtesy visits to NAPTIP, courtesy visits to NHRC, that's National Human Rights Commission, just to ensure that, we're not working in silos. We've gone to meet the government. But most times, we still meet difficulties with the police, every time. It's either they tell the girl, why were you dressed like that? Why did you share your nude? There's that shaming culture. Like, I'm just trying to give the experience of what we have seen, what we have faced over the years, right? So times where the survivor tells us, I went to the police and this is how they are talking to me. Or the lawyer, or the person, the help desk, just treats her anyhow. There was a time we got a case where the girl's sister told her she can't believe this. She would disown her. So that's shaming culture. And then we are trying to say, okay, OGBV, we are curbing this thing. We are just trying awareness, advocacy, but we still meet these things on the road. I think the highlight of our biggest problem, after just encountering what we've done, is access to justice. Access to justice is slow. Access to justice is expensive.
Okay. So I have just one question there. How was like the community network fund? Because if if I understand what the chronology of what you are saying, at this point, when you come to that point, how the community network fund was helpful for that? Okay.
So also, Zina mentioned that, I think it was Christine. She said one of the thematic beneficiaries of DDP is LGBTQIA persons. So we said the first research we conducted, how about we deepen it? Because OGBV is different for different communities, right? So we said, okay, research 2.0. Let's research OGBV for persons with disabilities and LGBTQIA persons in Nigeria. So we carried out key informant interviews, focus group discussion, desk research. Just to carry this out, there was a challenge because some of our team members are not members of this community, so we have to approach organizations working with them, just scheduling and all of those. But that's one thing that this CNF fund helped us to achieve. Also, the CNF fund was a huge contributor to the prosecutorial manual. We started the draft from the RPF, but the CNF has taken it further. We have conversations with lawyers. We have conversations with duty professionals. They need to look at it because we are a civil society organization. We're not like a law firm. And for it to become a law firm, we have to take these things further. Push it to this person. This person should look at it. The third person should look at it. And lastly, the trainings. Every time we go to a new geopolitical zone, they keep telling us, I didn't know this. I've never heard of this. We introduce them to Quran. This exists. Is it free? Most times people think you have to pay money, but no, it's not free. So when a case comes, we use the fund from the CNF to process these cases. Like I said, huge monetary implications every time.
Thank you so much. So what would be your advice to anyone here who had never applied to any fund of TDP?
Okay. I'd say that, one, TDP is a very reliable partner. And like Christine mentioned, it has to be around holistic security. During this conference, somebody said something. He said digital rights are enablers of human rights. So regardless of the field that you're working in today, right, it's important that I would say you have DDP as an ally, because you're going to work on the internet. So one way or the other, you need DDP, quite all right. Because one, it helps you to build resilience of your organization, even if you're working in health. Like Zina mentioned earlier, what if your website is hacked? What if your beneficiary data is hacked? So first, you need to get that unlocked. So DDP, they're always a beck and call. Hi, Christine, so and so happened. Maybe on paper we said we want to do 1, 2, 3. But we started doing 1, 2, 3 and realized 3, 4, 5. We come back to her. This is what we realized. Okay, let me look at it. For example, Quran was built upon us doing research that there were no existent response platforms in Nigeria. So we said, what can we do? Build Quran. What's the next step? We can get so many cases. We can help them resolve police. But there was nothing criminalizing these laws. Perpetrators were not held accountable. Came back to DDP, this is what we want to do. So there's that sustainable, holistic view when applying or when having DDP as partners.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you so much, Ugochi. So I think we have our grantee. I think we have Mr. Baraka from Providence here. Really is. Okay, no, so please wait. I'm just preparing you to come here in maybe 2-3 minutes to share your experience with us. But I still have a question to Mr. Tawanda. I would like you to share with us what are the difficulties of working in multiple languages. You know, we are in a context where we speak French, Swahili, English, and many other languages I don't know. So what are the difficulties of this contest like? Shortly. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a very good question in so many ways, because I think at DSA, that is why we then went out to build a network around the 6 countries that I did not mention, because I'm hoping that you know the flags. It's quite difficult, if I'm going to be honest. I can give you examples. You know, it's quite difficult because we were trying to capacitate consultants within these countries, which then means that if we're in Mozambique, we are training a Mozambique citizen to actually do the work. But the core team of DSA, we only know 4 languages except for Portuguese. Okay, so it then meant that we did a lot of untaking the tech, okay, which is talking tech language in a non-tech way, so that we actually understand each other. But at the same time, I know that it's unfair, because we were also looking deliberately for people who can understand English, you know, so that at least the trainings actually can happen. And we saw value, you know, we actually saw value in investing that time. But there are also so many challenges, you know, that you are then faced with, because language is a delicate issue. I can give you an example, you know, like now here we're in Senegal. I can tell you that I lost count of the people who say to me, why can't you speak French? You know, like, it's an expectation, right? You are in Senegal, you need to know at least something about French, okay? But so that's another barrier, you know, that you actually need to then be explaining yourself, you know, to say, unfortunately, I can't speak French, okay? And unfortunately, I know English because of my colonizer, but that's not my first language. My first language is actually Shona, okay? So if I want to speak with you the same way you would want to speak with me, then there's a challenge, you know, because I can just revert to Shona. because that's my local language. So what I'm just saying that we were so deliberate, but it has also yielded results in the sense that the people that we have now are all local language speakers. During trainings, they're training with their own language, but that also is a shift in terms of DSA leadership and strategy, because now we are now entrusting, the trainers. We are in the room, yes, but we are also trying to catch up. It's okay. We've got our translators as well. Like we've got.
Yeah.
We are trying. So that's the extra effort that the organization also is now putting, so that we actually feel, for the other participants.
Okay.
In short, core team as well is now learning Portuguese. Okay. Why? Because we are in Mozambique and Angola. Okay.
Okay.
Which then means that right now we have invested again to send our core team members into class, because we saw that the apps learning is not working. But we want our core team, to be able to be sitting in a room being trained in Portuguese by our teammate, and we are also like following so that we are able to then look at the quality and also do debriefs that are actually better. But it also is an investment that is needed, and no funder is actually allowing that we actually use their budget line for language, but we then took it upon ourselves from our own reserves to say, okay guys, this is a need. Let's take from our organizational reserves. Let's pay for everyone. By next year, we expect the DSA team to be having conversation in Portuguese.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tawanda.
Because you've asked a critical question there on language, and as I
Sorry,
said,
you want to ask a question or
no,
to
I
complete?
just wanted to compliment what he's
thank you.
talking about language, because as you know, the conflict in our countries was actually caused by language, because those who I could have done my presentation in French. Outside, I can speak French, but when it comes to technical issues, I prefer to speak in English, because it happened because teachers in Francophone schools, in Anglophone schools, who are Francophones, when they set an exam and they say, quelle est la place de bougie in auto mechanics, la place de bougie dans la voiture, and then they translated it to what is the place of a candle in the so it caused the conflict that is in the Northwest. And so language, especially when it comes to technical issues, is very delicate thing, and we need to be very careful about it. Okay. I just wanted to add that in terms of language and conflict.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are going to give the floor to our guest here, Mr. Baraka from Providence, Bingwa Civic Tech, Gambia. So you have also been a beneficiary of one of our grants, and you are working in Congo. Okay, so we would like to know, how is it going on, especially in the context of war context? How are you able to create a network? What are the difficulties you have faced, and how was DDP able to help you through that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry, you have 10 minutes maximum.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think I will even be short than that. And so I'm Providence Baraka. I'm the program associate of Bingwa Civic Tech Lab. It's an organization based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, thank you. So I don't know how many of you have heard about Congo. I think, so Congo is known in Africa because of the political instabilities, have been having so many wars due to natural resources and so on. So, and on the ground, we have civil society organizations documenting human rights violations, and they are not just civil society organizations, they are, I would call them frontline human rights, because they are on the ground in the village, the remote areas which are not really accessible, and they are using digital devices to get the information about the human rights violations committed by different parts involved in the conflict. So, and yes, so we applied for the funding, the community network fund, and yeah, we got it. So so the fund came at a very, very I would say an appointed time, because we really need to have locally a mechanism that help build digital resilience of those civil society organizations. Yes, they are using the digital tools to document human rights violations, but are those tools secure? How are they secured? Do they have digital security plan for the organizations? How do we ensure that when they face a digital threat, how do we ensure that when they face a digital threat, will they be able to recover from it, or where are they going to, who are going to talk to so that they get support? So through the funding, we have been able to build capacity of a dozen of civil society organizations, and it just happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow.
It just happened 2 weeks ago, so we have been able to build capacity of a dozen civil society organizations. So we taught them about digital security best practices. We also conducted digital wellness check to analyze how secure are they, what are their vulnerabilities, what are their risks. So have used quite a number of tools to conduct those digital wellness check. Okay. And then we came up with digital security strategies for the organizations. So after the workshop, we have been able to set up a ticketing system, which is available at supportsystem.bingwa-civic.tech. Okay. So the ticketing system is a platform that is going to help us over the 6 months to get inquiries from the civil society organizations about how they're implementing the best practices. Okay. So yeah, so far
congratulations.
Thank you so much. So yeah, it has been very, very interesting, and they were very, very excited about the initiative, and they said that this is very, very interesting, and I don't know, so they said that's why did we take longer to have such initiative in the country. So yeah, I think we will hear more about the success stories on our platform. So it has been very, very interesting, but we have quite a number of challenges so far, and we have been wondering after the 6 months what is going to happen. Are we still going to be able to provide the support? And I think I think as a community, something like that is going to be sorted out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think our Zina has a question for you. Okay, one.
No, I don't have a question for you. I actually have a question for you. Yes, because you are one of the few people who are bilingual. I want to know what is your experience having to be a French trainer, and the difference it makes for you to be able to build network with other French trainers and to have learned in French instead of English, which is a language you're comfortable in, but not your most comfortable language. So what does it feel to work in French with other French people, and how has the network been so far?
Okay, thank you for your question, Zina. I think it has been, as usual, a learning process. A great experience because, as you say, French is my native language and is really easier in French. But also in English, I think is the same. For me personally, it's the same. I don't really feel challenged by this bilingual fact. But if we go to maybe another languages, I think that will be more challenging for me. I don't know if I'm really responding to your question. A network in the digital Yeah, yeah, totally. We have a network in French because I think there are many French people, in my point of view, who try to get in the English network easily, more than the other side. And in the French, I think there's no challenge there because we know each other, we support each other, and we are every day meeting new people as we are walking through the trainings, and we are also meeting English people. So I think it's going well, on my point of view. But I'm a hyper positive person, so it may be not the reality. No, I thought you had a question. Sorry, you have a question? Okay. Not yet, but you will have to pose your question. Please wait a minute.
Hello?
I just want to before that, thank you. Before that, I just want to know if everyone is still here with us. Are you not so tired? Do you want to stretch? You want? I don't feel you. I don't feel you. If I don't feel you, we are going to do the banana, and you don't want to do the banana. If everyone is still here, please raise your hand and say digital. Digital. Great, thank you. So we are going to thank our panelists here today. You have been sharing so great experience with us. I have been learning so much, and I hope everybody here has been also. And now we still have, I think, 20 minutes left, if I'm right. 20, if I'm right. And we'll now receive your questions, and we will try to answer to them. So we already had one question. You are going to start. Two? Okay.
Oui, allô?
When you take.
Pour moi, c'est pas une question en fait. Nous
Please,
sommes.
before you ask your question or you want to talk, present yourself.
Ok.
Yeah. Say
Okay.
who you are.
Moi,
Thank you.
c'est Tunkara Nomo.
So we are waiting for them to fix the translation. Thank you. I can translate to you if you want. Go on, I will resume in English.
Ok. Moi, c'est Tunkara Nomo. Je suis de l'association Le Refuge Burkina. C'est une association LGBTQ basée à Bobo Dioulasso. Nous sommes bénéficiaires d'IDP. Au fait, ce n'est pas une question. Je voulais juste présenter notre petite expérience qu'on a vécue avec DDP. Ok, si c'est possible de continuer.
Yes.
Ok. Notre aventure avec DDP a commencé en mai 2023 lors d'un appel à projet. Donc, nous avons postulé. Voilà. Après, on recevait des mails, mais c'était des mails en anglais. Donc, on a fait des mois et des mois, on ne répondait pas aux mails. Donc, après un jour, on a reçu un mail en français. Donc, on s'est dit que nous sommes sur le bon chemin. Donc, on les a répondu. Donc, les échanges ont commencé. Après, on nous a mis en contact avec deux conseillères. Il y avait Christine avec Estella. Vraiment, elles sont formidables. Donc, voilà, ça a commencé petit à petit, voilà, jusqu'à ce que le projet a été approuvé. Donc, le titre du projet, c'était « Équipement de l'association en outils numériques et un atelier de formation en cybercriminalité ». Donc, actuellement, nous avons pu acquérir cet outillé de l'association. Nous avons bénéficié des ordinateurs, des imprimantes, de vidéoprojecteurs, des clés USB, la création d'un site web internet. Donc, ce qui nous reste à faire actuellement, c'est la formation sur la cybercriminalité avec les associations de prise en charge contre le VIH dans notre zone. Donc, j'aimerais profiter et remercier DDP. Vraiment, je peux dire que bon, c'est tout notre premier financement.
Oh, wow.
C'est tout notre premier financement.
Thank you so much.
Au fait, on recevait des financements, c'était des financements de 400 000, juste faire le dépistage auprès des populations clés. Donc, mais avec DDP, donc voilà, vraiment, félicitations à vous. Toute l'équipe vous dit merci.
Beaucoup.
Merci.
Thank
Je
you.
vous remercie.
Thank you so much.
Bonjour à tout le monde. My name is Hamid Khayar Omar Dekala. I'm coming from Chad, Central Africa. I'm the founder of Chad Innovation Hub, an incubator, a civil society organization working with youth and trying to catch up with the world because Chad is a landlocked country and with so many difficulties. The brother from Cameroon is talking about conflict, but we have been in conflict for more than 30 years. Our late president died 2 years ago in a war with the rebel. We've been through a transition, 2-3 years of transition, political transition. So we have a lot of challenges. And I'm happy to be here and to hear about, DDP. And I went quickly through your website, and I have seen that if we want to apply, there are some are based on, I think, by community based or something like this, and there are some like by invitation only. So how can we bypass this and maybe apply, maybe have chat in your network? And to end, I want to say, we are really combating the French policy in Africa, in Francophone Africa, and we want, to be equal to the French, governments, and so that's why we are trying our best to speak English and maybe to join maybe the English part of the world, maybe to catch up, with a lot of technology. And we are way back, landlocked country. Internet is the most expensive in the world. Women, we have a lot of challenges. Like when I see, sometimes I study in Dakar, and it's great to be here to walk on, like the Pan-Africanism and Sheikh Anta Diop, country, but it's really challenging. And if I see a change in Dakar, I left in 2008, and today, it's way behind. And sometimes when you guys are talking, and I compare myself to the Chadian, society, Chadian community, I say where I am, I'm like, people are maybe in the, way there, and they are talking about change. And back my community, when I go back, can I implement this solution or this solution? Because we don't even have the basic. So I'm really happy to be here and looking forward to apply for the grant.
I'm going to answer you quickly while we're taking the next question. So our grants that are for invitation only are usually the ones that require expertise. That would usually be the community network grant and the regional partnership grants. Those ones are for partners whom we can see have the capacity. So we reach out to them based on previous work that they have been doing, or from introductions and referrals by other partners. But all of the other grants are completely open. So it's not because we're trying to keep people out, it's because we're looking for experts who will be able to pass on those. But please feel free, there are always emails on our website of every team, the team in Africa, the team around the world, and we're always looking for ways to partner with new people, especially in countries where we didn't have expertise. As he said, we used to answer in English, and Christine and I used to struggle with French. It was really difficult, but now we have at least 7-8 French speakers who are from the countries. In fact, we have a team member who's from Chad, and I look forward to seeing how we can connect you two and we can work together.
Merci.
Thank you, Zina. Yes.
Je suis Eugène Deguinon. Je viens du Bénin, membre de l'association des blogueurs du Bénin. Alors, c'est quand même bizarre que je suis pas venu au début, donc je n'ai pas pu noter grande chose. Moi qui voulais savoir le processus pour avoir du financement auprès de TDP. Néanmoins, j'ai pu noter qu'il y a 3 fonds, si je ne me trompe pas. Hein. Bon, le fonds de réseau communautaire, le fonds durable et le fonds de partenariat. Bon, c'est ce que j'ai pu noter. Donc, ma question c'est comment, quel est le processus pour avoir ces fonds ou pour devenir partenaire de DDP? Merci.
Okay, Christine really doesn't want to answer today. But we have call for applications that go out in the beginning and sometimes in the middle of the year. That would be for the regional partnership and the Sustainable Protection Fund. The Community Network Fund, as I mentioned, is different and is by invitation only based on expertise. That is usually by recommendation, by working together, by meeting in spaces like this, understanding the work that you do so we can invite you. But the other two, please join our mailing list. It's usually also always on social media. We try to reach as many people as possible. And I believe you have access to some of our partners at the Dutch MFA. So you should be able to receive when the call for applications are out.
I was thinking, I was suggesting that we have the DPF stand at the end so people can know the countries that they come from and yeah, they could reach out.
Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Amadou Kounari, je suis de Bembéré au Mali. Je voulais tout simplement rebondir sur le sujet qu'il a évoqué. Vous dites que vous financez des réseaux. Est-ce que c'est possible aussi de financer la mise en place d'un réseau?
Okay, I will respond to your question. And first, before I respond to you, I want to share our common email address, though it's on our website. It is team@digitaldefenders.org. So that in case we don't answer all your questions, please send there your inquiry. Yeah, from Chad, I actually felt the story you gave in and I was like, can you share the story more so that we see what you can do? But that one applies to all of us here. Please share team@digitaldefenders.org. And yes, we can fund setup of networks. So please just share your story. Sometimes it's not easy to say once you send in one word like can you fund, it's good to go through the whole application process and check through. Because I get inquiries and I get maybe one sentence, can you fund human rights defenders that are at risk? So most of the time I tell someone, kindly expound further so that I understand what's your story, does it fit in our mandate and criteria, what's the incident at hand, what exactly is the network all about, what is their thematic focus, does it align to what we do? Because it's not easy to say yes. Once we've had, can you fund a setup of a network? Then we are like, yes. Then tomorrow we'll say, Zina and Christine said yes and they've not funded my network. Yeah, thank you.
Hi. So yesterday I was supposed to have a session on learnings and unlearnings for digital security educators in Africa. Unfortunately, I didn't make it on time because of my flight issue. And one of the things that I really wanted us to talk about was the issue of fellowships, stimulation. So to my question, I was part of the Digital Defenders Partnership Fellowship, and if there's one thing that we have seen working is the issue of fellowship. So when does DDP feel that they are, see that they are going to open up more spaces for fellowship so that we can accommodate more security, digital security educators?
Thank you. Can you remind us your name, please?
Cecilia Maundu.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Cecilia. I'm really glad you're asking this question. I think one of the things that DDP has also enjoyed is long-term sustainable funding from our funders who see the value of building things for a long time. We started with a fellowship for 10 people and retained 5. We've now done the same in the Francophone region, and I'm glad that one of our funders is in the room, and this is an ask that we expand that funding so that we're able to continue to meet the needs of people, because 10 holistic security trainers is good, but that doesn't even reach into the beginning of the big pot within the continent that we need to reach. So we're looking for funding, we're waiting for funding so that we can continue the work that we've started.
Excusez. Ok, c'est toujours Tunkara de l'association Le Refuge Burkina. Au fait, je sais pas.
Yes, I wanted to add on the fellowship.
Ok. Ok.
Thank you.
Maintenant, je sais pas c'est à qui je dois m'adresser.
Exactly. You know, this is how language works, right? I almost said when you paused, I almost said no obrigado. You know, they're not like, oh no, it's French. You know, so I need to. It's a mess. But anyway, you actually asked a very good question. You know, Cecilia. In so many ways. Maybe this is a plug that, or maybe a seed also that I just want to throw. You know, like for organizations like DDP and us as DSA and others, you know, like, you know, defenders, etc. To say what is literally our end game. You know, like if we're going to be sitting in a room today as these partners, can we actually say we've got 56 consultants? Okay, 56 is a good number. Do you know why? 56 Africans? Exactly, right. Okay, so do we have 56 representatives? That should be the end goal, you know, because sometimes I feel like we can't get funding as DSA for a TOT program / you know, a fellowship. Then we go again into Chad, you know, where we already know that DDP has got a resource already. Okay, so there is value in us actually adding resources where we are not actually there, or per region as well. You know, like within a country, you find that it happens where you can have a different dialects, you know, of languages. Are we intentional in terms of that? So I'm just saying this because it's also one thing that I am advocating from an organizational point of view to a partner, and also saying let's echo that to funders, you know, to say, okay, you know what, this is the strategy for Africa. Because the sad reality that we are not also seeing as Africans is that if we don't speak together, the funder is then going to direct us, and we end up then duplicating efforts. Then eventually we're then going to be finding ourselves head butting, you know, because we're like, no, we are in that same country, same province, same city, and at the end of the day we're saying let's have the communities included, but yet we don't have a trainer who's got the local lingo of a community, you know. So I just wanted to add that, and also it's an ask, you know, for DDP and us and others, you know, to just like, let's sit down, let's actually be having these discussions and we plan together, you know, so that the story is in line. I say this because I'm seeing the success of the helpline. You know, I'm really seeing how integration of Southern Africa, East Africa, and West Africa and Access now is now really clear and easier to work because we are talking together before we even go to a funder.
Ok, merci. Maintenant, j'ai une question sur les fonds d'urgence des DDP. L'année passée, bon, c'est la même question que j'avais posée le premier jour. L'année passée, dans notre ville à Bobo, il y avait une chasse aux sorcières face aux LGBT. Donc, beaucoup voulaient quitter la ville, aller au Mali, à Ouagadougou, à Abidjan. Donc, les fonds d'urgence étaient épuisés auprès des associations. Donc, j'avais profité, j'ai écrit à Estella, avoir des informations sur les fonds d'urgence des DDP. Mais à mon incompréhension, ce que j'ai compris, je pensais que les fonds d'urgence de DDP consacraient uniquement que les outils numériques. Donc maintenant, je ne sais pas. Est-ce que je peux avoir plus d'informations sur les fonds d'urgence, quoi, si c'est possible? Merci.
Okay. I think what I heard from you is that it's called what? LGBTQI were at risk, and you are told that the funding is based for digital. I think the word should be the digital attacks, not digital equipments, as we said, because at this point we give a holistic approach or even a holistic support. So I might not know the context of the story 100%. However, we used to have a fund called Bessie Ferrara that was meant for LGBTQI under threat. And our main cutting niche between the two was that incident response is meant to respond to digital attacks or incidences. So unless you also shed more light on the case, you have more, okay.
Right. So I do understand. I think Stella reached out to consult about that case. And unfortunately, there are things that are outside our mandate because we are Digital Defenders Partnership. Right? Now is our partnerships with other organizations that take care of issues that we cannot. So the referral network is now able to work much quicker, where our POs will write an email directly and put you in touch with, for instance, Urgent Action Fund that deals with funding for women, or ISDAO grants that deals with LGBTQ funding. But we do have some limitation, which we finally now clarified on our website. If you go on the grants application, now it tells you exactly what we cover and where you can get alternative funding if you don't fit into our particular focus. I hope that helps.
Ok, c'est compris. Merci.
Ok, merci bien. Moi, je m'appelle Abdelkérim Ousmane. Je viens également du Tchad. On est accompagné depuis un temps par M. Amara Babadabala. Nous sommes carrément un nouveau partenaire. Nous venons juste de commencer. Et récemment, il nous a envoyé déjà le plan d'action pour les différentes formations qu'on aura. Justement, il y aura une formation du personnel, par exemple, sur l'hygiène des appareils numériques, des formations sur la gestion des mots de passe, formation sur le chiffrement et tant d'autres formations. Maintenant, j'aimerais avoir peut-être des conseils pour ceux qui ont déjà bénéficié de ce genre de bourse en fait d'accompagnement pour que en fait ces formations puissent aider notre organisation, que ça sera l'une des plus belles expériences pour nous. Et ça c'est ma première question. Et ma deuxième question, je vois sur cette brochure juste 3 types de financement, alors que je crois savoir qu'on a parlé de plutôt 6 types de financement. Et quand j'entre dans le site, je vois que c'est inaccessible en fait, les informations par rapport aux différents types de financement. Donc est-ce que vous pouvez nous préciser quels sont les autres types de financement disponibles et avec leurs critères en fait d'obtention en fait. Merci.
Vas-y, oui. Ah, okay. You want to respond?
And it's not accessible. Yes. My classes are paying. Thank you very much. All right. So, we're in the process of translating every single thing on a website that is worldwide in Espanol and Französisch. It takes time. So sometimes there are grants that are behind the others, but we're trying really hard to catch up very quickly with all of the translations, and I apologize that it is not yet accessible. As to the different number of funds, one of the reasons you might not see all of them is because the ones that are for invitation only, there aren't always links, right? It might just be mentioned and then it will tell you by invitation only. But the grants are all the same. And as Christine mentioned, we used to have a grant, the Bessie Ferreira Fund, that was strictly for LGBT organizations and individuals at risk. But we no longer manage that fund. It is in the process of being moved to people with more expertise than us that aren't just digital, because again, we're digital security, digital and holistic. So we're giving it to people who have more expertise with LGBT issues. That's why the numbers don't always correlate. But hopefully, in a couple of weeks, when our translation is up to date and Bessie Serrera is fully set up, you will have complete clarity on where to find each grant.
Okay, I want to add on why the brochure has 3 grants and our website has 6 grants. During the typing, the person skipped regional partnership funding. I also noticed the same. But during my presentation, I presented 4 grants. But in the website, there are 6 grants. The 2 others are Bessie Ferrara, which Zina has explained, and we have the global partnership funding that is no longer administered in DDP because DDP has also grown to do the activities that Global Partnership Fund used to do. So we are no longer administering the grant. We are ourselves now the grant team. Yeah.
We had the regional partnership grant, and you're right. We used to give these grants to bigger organizations to do the work that we couldn't do. But under our current policy, we're actually moving those grants to the country level so that experts on the ground like DSA, like TechHer, will be able to execute it. So instead of giving it to Frontline Defenders and Access Now and Media Defense grants, now the grants are going to local organization, not to us. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, we don't have. We are running really out of time. I think everybody is maybe getting hungry. We will take just one more question and try to respond quickly to that question. Thank you.
Go. Ah.
Okay, how does DDP support legal networks? They can apply for our funding under the regional partnership funding because they do not directly fall into our thematic focuses direct. But we can support them through the regional partnership funding. And what is holistic? Holistic is psychosocial. We also talk about the physical, the digital security trainings. So holistic, it is taking the organization in a holistic manner. Like we don't look like one aspect. Someone said a few minutes ago that for us to complement human rights work, we need digital rights. Because digital rights, if they're not looked at holistic manner, then we are not talking about human rights being upholded. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. I hope you have your answer. I want to thank everybody for being so attentive and for your question. Important, before you go outside, please remember to take your lunch voucher so that you can eat, and to sign sign the present seat so that you can receive all the information that you need. Thank you so much.
One last thing. Someone had made a suggestion that the DDP team members can stand up and say what countries they're from so that you can know who to reach out to. So if you are a DDP team member, just stand up and tell them what country you're from, obviously.
Hey, Christine, Anglophone, grants officer. Anglophone, please, because we have a Francophone grants officer. I think we all know the Francophone coverage areas, and we have the Anglophone, but I'm from Kenya.
Zina, Nigeria.
Save, Benin.
Ruth, Uganda.
Amara of Chad.
Leila from Brussels. Not sure it's helpful, but just so you know.
Fatimata du Mali.
Suleiman du Burkina Faso.
Mariam from Kenya.
Blaise from Congo, the big Congo.
Chipo from Zimbabwe.
So lunch coupons are here. So les coupons pour les lunch sont ici. Lunch coupons are here. So before you go out, please make sure you have one. And please sign the attendance list if you haven't. Ah, ok. S'il vous plaît, laissez les récepteurs sur les chaises. Please don't go outside with the earphones and headsets.